One use I didn't mention to you, Dave, is when I started taking it, I had a theory that this is going to cross the blood-brain barrier. And if I saturate my brain with astaxanthin, if I am playing rugby and I get a concussion or TBI, then
Hmm.
I'll have more of a protective effect. As far as I understand, there's something called the microglial cells, and they do something
Hmm.
called microglial priming. And the analogy I've heard used to describe is they're like chihuahuas with bazookas, and once they get activated, you can't really calm them down. And
Hmm.
I was thinking if you did certain things in advance, such as using the right substances like astaxanthin, that perhaps you'd have better outcomes if you were to sustain a concussion. Have you read anything about that?
Certainly, there mechanistically that rationale makes sense, and we have thought about pursuing studies looking at traumatic brain injury, and this could be in sporting applications, football, rugby, contact fighting sports. It also could be for the military, for the troops, who experience that as well. And so we've pursued discussions in those areas, potentially looking at partnerships with leagues or with teams or with players. And because, like you said, if you could have this on board, it's much better to provide. We would hypothesize it would be better to reduce the potential, for that injury. Because analogously, there's been studies, looking at other, if you administer astaxanthin before a cardiovascular insult, like where you restrict blood flow to the heart tissue and then restore blood flow, which reoxygenates the tissue. And there's actually damage, ischemic reperfusion damage to the heart tissue. If you can pre-dose and load up with ASTA prior, you can have a reduction in that ischemic reperfusion damage or an increase in myocardial salvage. And so similarly for the brain tissue, if you can pre-dose over long periods of time, in addition to all the other benefits, if you're playing sports or other things that it would hopefully provide, we would think that it could potentially help in that area. And so that would be a great thing that we think should be studied because it's so sad to see these things with people that are playing sports that they grew up playing their whole lives, and